بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome everyone to our last class of our Surah al-Kahf course, the first 10 verses of Surah al-Kahf. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And before we begin, as it's from our sunnah, we'd like to spend a couple minutes in revising what we have previously learned. So the students, those who are present right now, can write the answers down in the group chat. And this will also give our fellow classmates some time to log into the class before the class actually starts. So the first question is basically, what is the meaning of asafa? What is the meaning of asafa? Good. Huzn. Or what are the possible meanings of asafa, and what is the applied meaning? What is the intended meaning in the verse? So the possible meanings you have is ghadab and huzn. Excellent. Yani anger and sadness. طيب, what is intended in the verse? Which of the two? Sadness. Khayr, why is that? Why is sadness intended and not ghadab? Because it's not in the capability of the Prophet. The affair is not in the capability of the Prophet. He cannot guide people, meaning in the sense of making them accept the truth. Khayran. So that leads to the second question. What are the different types of guidance? How many types do we have? We have two. Excellent. Khayr. What's the first type? You have tawfiq and irshad. Good. Yani you have dalala wal irshad and you have tawfiq wal qabul. Khayr. Which one, something in which only Allah has control of and no one else? At tawfiq. Right? Allah is the one who changes the person's heart and causes them to accept Islam. Khayran. Therefore, the first type, yani al-irshad, is in our hands. Yani we can only guide people in the sense of conveying the message. Ahsantum. Tayyib. Next question. How many conditions are there for the shahada of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You have 6. Good. Did anyone memorize the bait? Memorize the line of poetry? If you could write it down, inshallah ta'ala. It's very simple. الحب والتقديم والتصديق والنطق واليقين والتطبيق. نعم. الحب والتقديم والتصديق والنطق واليقين والتطبيق. Very easy to memorize. Inshallah ta'ala, make that a goal. You memorize these 6 conditions, and perhaps in the future, inshallah ta'ala, we'll have a course on these 6 conditions because it's details. Khayran, yani we all want to die upon La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. But in order to die upon that, we have to know, we have to learn what these conditions mean and how we can fulfill it. This is from the most important affairs for the Muslim. Khayr. One more question is, you have some of Ahlul Kitab from the Jews and Christians, as well as the Mushrikun, who ascribe children, whether it be sons or daughters, to Allah Azza wa Jalla. How does Allah refute their claim, their false claims? He attacks it from the asl, from the foundation. Right? How? 1, he first says they have no knowledge. Not naqli, there's no transmission within their books. Not even aqli, not even intellectual knowledge. Yani it doesn't make sense. How can Allah have a son and it's a human? Then you have yani fitri, yani naturally no one can fathom that type of falsehood. Khayr. He also said what? كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم. And it's just a statement from their tongues, not something which is based on ilm. طيب, they just say it, they don't reflect over it. And then, finally, he calls it a blatant lie. يقولون إلا كذبا. What is the meaning of E here? يعني in? Is it conditional? شرطية? النافية. Good. It's negating. أحسنتم. خيرا. So let's start with today's lecture, inshallah ta'ala. It's 5 minutes, 6 minutes passed by. Hopefully everybody is ready. Of course, before we begin, we'd like to remind ourselves first and foremost to renew the intentions. Make sure you're attending this class only for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Shaitan is extremely diligent and will attack you from all sides at every moment. So do not fall into his traps. Seek refuge in Allah Azza wa Jalla. Beg him for assistance and constantly renew your intentions. And never feel like you're safe. Never feel like you're safe from the plots of shaitan. You have to always be on guard. And that is what's taqwa. Yani that is what's taqwa. Right? It's to take a shield, to take a wiqaya, to protect you from the punishment of Allah by doing that which He has commanded and to stay away from what He has prohibited. Now, and the only one who's going to divert you from that goal of obtaining taqwa is your adu. Aduwwun mubin, your clear enemy, who is shaitan. May Allah protect us all. Khairan. Bismillah. We concluded our last class discussing the verse فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. This verse speaks about the severe care and concern that the Prophet ﷺ had for the guidance of others. When the kuffar would reject his message, the Prophet ﷺ would become so affected by their rejection that it was feared he would die. Naam, yukhsha alayhi al-maut. Yani it was feared that he would die over the amount of grief he felt. SubhanAllah. It wasn't just a simple matter. Why did this impact him so much? What do you guys think? Why did their rejection impact him? So why not just move on? Focus on the believers. Focus on those who would accept his message. And leave those who would harm him. Why didn't he do that? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He would want all to accept. Okay, why? Why? It was a mercy to mankind. Yani because his certainty, his yaqeen was on a different level. Now, certainty, yaqeen, has different levels. As mentioned by Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala in his book At-Tibyan fi Aqsam al-Quran. He mentioned that al-yaqeen, certainty, is of 3 levels. You have the first level, and this is the lowest, that which is called ilmul yaqeen. Yani meaning that when you're certain of something, right, you have certainty without a doubt, and there's no doubt. However, you haven't seen it. So for example, al-Jannah. Do we all believe in Jannah here? Of course we do. Naam. Has any of us seen it? No, we haven't seen it. Sah? طيب. So, please close your videos. Naam. We haven't seen it, but we still have yaqeen. Why? Because we were told that Jannah exists in the Quran by our Lord, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we believe everything in the book. Khairan. So we have this level of yaqeen, although we haven't seen it yet. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? كَلَّا لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عِلْمَ الْيَقِينِ. In Surah al-Kahf. What does this verse mean? This verse means that if only you had ilmul yaqeen, the least amount of yaqeen, the lowest level, which is sure knowledge, if you had this level of knowledge, the result of the takathur, yani the competition in worldly affairs, you wouldn't have engaged in it. Okay, if you knew for certain that Jannah exists and the fire exists and Yawm al-Qiyamah is going to be established, all right, you had that ilm al-yaqeen, you wouldn't find yourselves engaged as you are in the dunya, competing with one another. Khayran? So this is the lowest level of yaqeen, yani that which you haven't seen, you haven't sensed. Khayran? Then you have the second level of yaqeen, which is known as aynul yaqeen. Yani when you're certain of something without any doubt, but you've actually seen it. The first level, you haven't seen it. You just believe. The second level, you actually seen it with your own eyes. What did Allah Azza wa Jalla say? ثُمَّ لَتَرَوُنَّهَا عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ. That you will certainly see it, عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ. Showing that this level of yaqeen is something which a person sees with their eyes. So for example, when we actually see paradise with our own eyes on the Day of Judgment, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enter us all into paradise. Ameen. This is a yaqeen, a level of yaqeen that comes as a result of seeing something. So another example, يعني in the story of Ibrahim عليه السلام, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّي أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. And remember or mention when Ibrahim said, "Oh my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead." Did Ibrahim doubt, alayhi salam, in the ability of Allah Azza wa Jalla of giving life to the dead? Did he have any doubt regarding that affair? La, he had yaqeen. He had, at this point, ilmul yaqeen. Sah, he didn't see it yet. But he asked Allah to show him how he gives life to the dead, so that he can reach to another level of yaqeen, which is the higher level of yaqeen, yani aynul yaqeen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. Do you not believe? Do you not have iman? Do you not have yaqeen, yani? What does Ibrahim alayhi salam reply? قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. Right? He wanted to reach the second level, so that his heart can become tranquil. And that is the level of seeing it directly for his own eyes. And then finally, you have the highest level of yaqeen, which is known as haqqul yaqeen. Yani when you're certain of something because you've actually experienced it. It's a level above of seeing it. Yani you felt it. It's something that you felt with your senses. Khayran? Not just seeing, but actually feeling it and tasting it, living in it. Inna hadha lahuwa haqqul yaqeen. So for example, the first level, ilmul yaqeen, is believing in paradise without seeing it, yani in this dunya. The second level, aynul yaqeen, is on the Day of Judgment when you see the paradise. Subhanallah bihamdi. What a beautiful sight that would be. Allahu Akbar. And the third level, haqqul yaqeen, is when you actually entered into it. Subhanallah bihamdi. When you've actually entered into paradise and you enjoy the pleasures. La ilaha illallah. I ask Allah to make us all among the inhabitants of the highest part of Jannah without any punishment, no reckoning. SubhanAllah, and that is what we're working for every single day. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Kareem. He's the most generous. So we hope when we're optimistic and we make dua with certainty that He'll grant us that. We try to improve every day and we work towards that goal of obtaining al-Firdaus. So these are the levels of yaqeen as mentioned by Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala. Most of us, we're on the first level, yani that which is ilmul yaqeen. And there's good in that. As mentioned by Al-Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala, the Tafsir, he said, فَأَمَّا الْمُؤْمِنُ فَأَيْقَنَ فِي الدُّنْيَا فَنَفَعَهُ ذَلِكَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. As for the mu'min, the believer, then he possesses certainty in the dunya, and it benefits him on a day of standing, the day of standing, يوم القيامة. وَأَمَّا الْكَافِرُ فَأَيْقَنَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ حِينَ لَا يَنْفَعُهُ الْيَقِينُ. SubhanAllah. He says that as for the disbeliever, then he only has yaqeen on the day of standing, yani when he's actually being held into account, when he sees the hellfire. SubhanAllah bihamdi. When he stands before his Lord, that's when he has yaqeen. But at that point, لا ينفعه اليقين. At that point, that yaqeen will not benefit him. He will not benefit in the least. So alhamdulillah, we have some level of yaqeen. And it differs from person to person, okay, depending on their connection with Allah, their connection with the Quran, their reliance on Allah, their tawheed. But what type of yaqeen did the Prophet ﷺ possess? Especially in regards to paradise. Can we say that we're on the same level as the Prophet ﷺ when it relates to the hereafter in terms of yaqeen? La, not even close, right? We haven't seen paradise, naam, but we believe in it. What about the Prophet ﷺ? Did he see paradise? In relation to yaqeen in Jannah, what level is he on? Is he on ilm al-yaqeen or ayn al-yaqeen or haqq al-yaqeen? We know that he saw paradise. Khayran. Did he enter paradise? We know that he saw paradise in Isra al-Mi'raj. Khayr. But did he enter paradise? Naam, ahsantum. Of course he did. As he mentioned in the hadith, ثُمَّ أُدْخِلْتُ الْجَنَّةَ فَإِذَا فِيهَا جَنَابِذُ اللُّؤْلُؤِ وَإِذَا تُرَابُهَا الْمِسْكِ. He mentioned that he was admitted, he was entered into paradise, and he saw in it domes of pearls, Allahu Akbar, and its soil of musk. In Sahih Muslim. Subhanallah bihamdi. So, the Prophet ﷺ was on the highest level of yaqeen, haqqul yaqeen. As for us, Allahumma musta'an, we walk around saying we believe in paradise and hellfire. But the Prophet ﷺ actually experienced the paradise. And that is the reason why we see a stark difference between us and him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When we read the life, we read about the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we marvel at how devoted he was. Naam? Why is that? What gave him that vigor and that drive and that desire to worship Allah on the best level of ihsan? It was his yaqeen, without a doubt. It pushed him to call his people to Islam, even when they fought him, even when they tried to kill him, even when they abused him with name calling. La ilaha illallah. As mentioned in the hadith, إِنَّهُمْ يَشْتِمُونَ مُذَمَّمًا وَيَلْعَنُونَ مُذَمَّمًا وَأَنَا مُحَمَّدٌ. Subhanallah bihamdi. He says that certainly Quraysh, they curse him, and they insult him, calling him mudhammam, the one who is just praiseworthy, the dispraiseworthy one. Wa ana Muhammadun, while I am Muhammad, the one who is praised, the praiseworthy one. And he bare the harms of his people. Naam? And he still called them to Islam, even though they were insulting him, even though they was cursing him. He still called them to Islam. Why is that? Because he knew the reality of what they were facing. His yaqeen is on a different level. What do we do when people badmouth us because of our religion? We abandon them, right? We run away. We don't interact with them. Khair. In fact, sometimes we may even abandon our own Muslim brothers and sisters, subhanAllah, for less than that, for trivial matters. Why is that? Why do we leave our brothers and sisters in Islam? Why do we abandon them? In reality, sarahatan, because our iman and our yaqeen is da'if, it's weak. We're not on the level of the Prophet ﷺ. We're not on high levels of yaqeen. Because if we had true yaqeen of the hellfire's reality, we would act differently than the way we do. We wouldn't abandon the rights of our neighbors. Now, knowing that our neighbors are non-Muslim, we wouldn't be strangers to them. We wouldn't be strangers to our communities. We wouldn't be strangers to our own family members, whether they be Muslim or non-Muslim. SubhanAllah. If we had yaqeen, certain yaqeen of the reality of the hereafter, SubhanAllah, we would act totally different than we do right now. Allahumma musta'an. And everyone is, we all know our own situation. And we have to hold ourselves into account. And don't feel like we're being attacked. But this is a means of encouraging each other upon birr wa taqwa. Allahumma musta'an. Anytime we come across some type of difficulty, we are swift in cutting people off. Naam. And that's wrong. We can't just leave people and abandon them just because they look at you a certain way, or they don't want to be your friend, or simple things. Allahumma musta'an. Even if they were to harm you, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? المؤمن الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على آذاهم أعظم أجرا من الذين يخالط الناس ولا يصبر على آذاهم. يعني if the believer who mixes with the people and endures their harm has a greater reward than the one who does not mix with the people nor endures their harm. Now we are encouraged to mix with the people and call them to Islam with our statements and actions. Take a look at Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how Quraysh would throw animal guts over him while he was making sajda at the Kaaba. Allahu Akbar. They threw animal guts over him while he was making sajda at the Kaaba. One time the Prophet ﷺ was asked to pray against the polytheists, the mushrikun, because of their oppression, their dhulm. And what did he say? Although he had the right to make dua against them, what did he say? إِنِّي لَمْ أُبْعَثْ لَعَانًا وَإِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ رَحْمَةً. SubhanAllah. That he was not sent as someone who invokes curses frequently, but rather he was sent only as a mercy. As a mercy. Yani, take a look at the story of Ta'if, when they kicked him out and they were throwing rocks and they hit him and he was bleeding. I mentioned narration that as the blood was flowing from his, on his face, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he made the dua, Allahumma ghfir li qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. To, oh Allah, have mercy for my people, my nation, for certainly they do not know. Allahu Akbar. His level of yaqeen was on a different level. He had the highest level of yaqeen. It was on a different level. This was the level of mercy and pardon and concern that the Prophet ﷺ had for his ummah. And this is why he was extremely attentive in giving da'wah and persistent in doing so. Naam, because his yaqeen was on a different level. We have to understand this. Khairan. And that necessitates from us to learn the sunnah as much as we can and implement it. Because look at the sacrifice that the Prophet ﷺ had to go through. If a person truly loves the Messenger ﷺ, they would be the closest of people towards his sunnah and follow his example because of these sacrifices. Now, this is a side benefit in regards to a da'wah, calling people to al-Islam, whether they be Muslim or non-Muslim. One time, someone asked our Shaykh Abdullah Mutlaq, hafidhullah ta'ala, he was asked, how can a da'i, the one who calls to Allah, reach the hearts of the people? And among the things the Shaykh mentioned, among the things he mentioned in regards to just having sincerity, of course, your ikhlas is going to have an effect on how you affect people accepting your message, right? Also practicing it yourself, that has an effect on others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts love, right? If Allah loves you, then he brings Jibreel close and he tells him to love this individual and to convey that to the people on earth as well as the inhabitants in the heavens, so that everyone begins to love that individual. Now, he also mentioned that among the means, among the ways of reaching the people's hearts is to genuinely want good and guidance for them. Now, and that will show through your actions. Allah will allow that genuine love for guidance and good for others to affect the people's hearts. They'll see it. And I'm sure many of us have experienced this. You've met sincere people who really want good, sincerely want good. You can just, sense it from them. It's vibrant now coming from them. And that's among the greatest means of reaching the people's heart when you call them to Islam. Through your statements as well as your actions. And the Prophet ﷺ was the epitome of that. He was someone who wanted good for the people. So much so when they rejected his da'wah, subhanAllah, as if he was dying, he was killing himself because of the grief he felt. He was sincere in his da'wah. And the Sahaba, they felt that. So much so that you find people would change their lives, change their whole entire program to follow the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the effect of da'wah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam it had on the people. Naam. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is reminding the Prophet in this verse that guidance is not in his hands, it's not in his capabilities. Hidayat tawfiq. That's up to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And his only obligation is to al-balagh, to convey the message. And alhamdulillah, through Allah's bounty, he fulfilled that trust. Naam, without a doubt. As is mentioned in Hajjatul Wada', where he asked after conveying the commandments and the prohibitions, he asked at the end, Allahumma hal ballaght. He asked, did I convey the message? The people said, Qalu Allahumma na'am. Yes, you have conveyed the message. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Khayran. Now we have the verse, Inna ja'alna ma 'ala al-ardi zinatan laha linabluwahum ayyuhum ahsanu amala. Where Allah Azza wa Jalla, he says what could be translated to mean, verily we have made that which is on the earth as an adornment for it, yani for the earth, in order that we may test them, yani mankind, as to which of them are best in deeds. طيب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says here, Inna ja'alna ma 'ala al-ardi. That certainly we have placed what is on the earth as a zina, as an adornment. What is zina? Scholars have mentioned the zina is of three types. You have the zina that is known as nafsiyya, yani that which is beautification of one's inner self, their personality, their innate characteristics. Khayran, like for example, knowledge, ilm, iman, these things that are within an individual. What does Allah Azza wa Jalla say? حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانَ وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُم. That Allah made iman beloved to you and he beautified it in your hearts. This is the form of zina, that which is in your heart, that which is in your personality, good characteristic, and being someone who is rahim, merciful, someone who is kind, someone who is caring. This is a form of zina. Naam. As I mentioned in a line of poetry, وَزِينَةُ الْعَاقِلِ حُسْنُ الْأَدَبِ. That the zina of the intellectual person, the one who has intellect, aql, is having good etiquette. Naam. So this is a form of zina. This is the first type. You also have another type of zina, which is known as badaniya. This is physical beautification, like having strength, natural beauty, things that are related to a person's physical characteristics. Now, there's zina there as well, right? Some cultures having a long neck. Some cultures, right, having a space between the front two teeth. Naam, as a form of zina of the body in certain cultures. Khayran. And then you have the third type of zina that is known as kharijiyya. Zina, that which is outward. Yani, it's not connected to the person himself, but it's like something outward. Like, for example, wealth, property, things you own, cars, clothes, naam, including clothes. What does Allah Azza wa Jalla say? نعم قل من حرم زينة الله التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق قل هي للذين آمنوا في الحياة الدنيا خالصة يوم القيامة كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يعلمون. نعم, من Surah al-A'raf. He says, قل من حرم زينة الله. Say, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has forbidden the adornments, the zina, okay, and lawful provisions of Allah Azza wa Jalla, that which he has brought forth for his servants. What is this referencing? He says, وَالطَّيِّبَاتِ مِنَ الرِّزْقِ, as well as the good things, the طيبات, the pure, goodly things, min rizq, from the provisions. قُلْ هِيَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Say it is for those who have iman. فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا خَالِصَةً يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. But it'll be exclusively theirs on the day of judgment. Yani it's for them in the world of life, but it'll be exclusively for them on the day of judgment. Yani this verse is speaking about the zina, that is what? Kharijiyah, that which is outward, like wealth and other things in the dunya. طيب. So these are the three different types of zina. Which zina do you think is intended here? إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا زِينَةً لَهَا أَيُّهَا الْمُفَسِّرُونَ. Which type of zina do you think is applied here? Is it nafsiyya? Is it badaniyya, that's which is connected to the body? Or is it kharijiyya? إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ. Yani that which is kharijiyya, outward. Why? What does Allah say right after it? لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Yani He has placed that which on the earth, zinata, yani from the zina that is kharijiyya, like wealth, like natural resources. Naam, that's a zina as well. And other things that are kharijiyya, outward. He placed those things on earth as a form of adornment. For what purpose? What's the reason? لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. In order for Him to test them, meaning mankind, to see which one of them are the best in deeds. To test mankind as to which of them are best in deeds. Khayr. We wrote here that Allah made everything on earth as an adornment. Yani, for example, trees, natural resources. You have here rivers, valleys, gold, diamonds, وهكذا. And mankind uses what is on earth to also make forms of adornment. Yani, that which is already in existence, they mold it and they shape it to make new and other forms of adornment, like necklaces, jewelry, yani other thing, clothing, right? Decoration. They use that decoration as well. Khayr. What's the purpose for these adornments? لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. This is the purpose. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can test us, as to see which one of them are best in deeds. Allah is testing us to see who will use these adornments, both natural and man-made, for His pleasure, and who will use it to disobey Him, Azza wa Jal. Who will be distracted by the allures of the dunya, which will draw them away from their original purpose. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Yani to only worship Allah alone. طيب. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari rahimahullah ta'ala mentions the meaning of this verse, لِنَخْتَبِرَهُمْ. Yani لِنَخْتَبِرَ عِبَادَنَا. For us to put to test our servants, to see which of them is atraku laha, is furthest away from these fleeting dunya, this dunya that's leaving. وَأَتْبَعُ لِأَمْرِنَا وَنَهِّنَا. And those who adhere the most to our commandments and stay away from our prohibitions. وَأَعْمَلُ فِيهَا بِطَاعَتِنَا. And those who work the most in the dunya in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's obedience. طيب. This is the meaning of the verse. He placed these things on earth as a test for us. Khayr. What is the point of the test? Yani, doesn't Allah already know? Why is there even a test? Aslan. What do you guys think? What's the point of the test? Isn't Allah al-Alim, the all-knowing? MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Yani, to establish hujjah. It's not for Allah Azza wa Jalla. La. Allah knows. Allah knows everything. Everything in the past, everything in the future, even things yani, that didn't even occur. He knows how it would have occurred. He's al-Alim. This is what we believe in regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge and the qadr as well. Right? This is one of the 4 things we believe in the qadr. That Allah possesses all knowledge. Khayr. So then what's the purpose of this test? Yani, these tests are for us so that on the day of judgment, everything will be exposed and there'll be no excuse. A person can't say, for example, oh, I didn't know, or I didn't have the chance or opportunity to do good. La. On that day, everybody will be giving clear proof of their actions on earth. So we can't debate. We can't say, oh, we didn't know. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كِتَابًا يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا. La ilaha illallah. That on the day of resurrection, we shall bring out for him a book which he will find wide open. Manshura. اقرأ كتابك. La ilaha illallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say on the day, اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. اقرأ كتابك. It'll be said to read your record, read your book that's filled with your deeds. Everything you've done has been recorded. The angels have written it down. You alone are sufficient this day to take account of yourself. And you are sufficient hasib for yourself. You can judge yourself accordingly based off what's in this book. Allah tests us in this dunya to establish the proof on Yawm al-Qiyam. There's not going to be no excuse. No one can say, oh, I didn't know. There's no excuse whatsoever in the hereafter. Allah gave us that chance to be better, to draw closer to Him in the dunya while we're still alive. Right now, Allah's given us a chance to change and be better and to leave off the sins that we constantly fall into and to draw closer to Allah and to utilize our time in His obedience. He's given us a chance right now, wallahi alhamd, to change and be better. But once the soul is taken out, إِذَا بَلَغَتِ الْحُلْقُومِ, right? Once it reaches the throat, khalas, that's it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَنَاكُم مِّن قَبْلِ أَن يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. To spend from what we have provided for you. Yani the wealth that we have is not from our own actions. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Whatever blessing you have is from Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. He says here, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَنَاكُم. To spend what Allah has provided for you. مِن قَبْلِ أَن يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Before there comes to one of you a death. فَيَقُولَ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ. At that point, when the reality has been unveiled, yani a death, the person will say, delay, yani give me some more time. Give me more time. For what purpose? فَأَصَّدَّقَ وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. So that I can give in charity and be among the righteous. Give me some more time and I'll change. But will that person be given that opportunity? وَلَا يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا وَاللَّهُ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Yeah, no one will be given that second chance. There's no second chance. Why? Because Allah knows He's Al-Alim. Even if He were to return you back to the dunya, insan, mankind, we're forgetful creation. If a person were to be returned back to the dunya, they're going to go back to what they were used to. Go back to the habits they were accustomed to. So khalas, that's it. Once death has been written, that's it. There's no second chance. Wallahu khabirun bima ta'malun. And Allah is all aware of what you do. So this is the purpose of the test. It's not for Allah. Rather, it's to establish the hujjah against us on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Naam. And why is that all put into place? لا يسأل عما يفعل وهم يسألون. Allah is not asked why He decided to create us or why He has placed these tests. And He's not asked about those actions. Rather, we are asked about our deeds. Naam. In the dunya, for example, when the father orders their children to do a particular action, a particular chore, is it appropriate for the child to ask why? La. Yani, it's not befitting. The child does what they're ordered. Why? Because he's the father, right? He's the one who raised him. He's the one who takes care of that child. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. If that's with creation, then Allah Azza wa Jalla is more deserving of being followed. Is more deserving for us to follow Him. And not to ask, why did He create us? Why? La. And He created us to worship Him. Khalas, we worship Him. That's our purpose. That's what our goal is, to worship Him. That's all we should be concerned about. And not be dissuaded or to be swayed by the whispers of shaitan, to move away from this purpose, to divert from this purpose. Khairan. And in this life, we're created to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla, but Allah places tests for us to establish whether we are sincere or not. Khairan. So for this reason, if someone understands this, that you're created to worship Allah alone, and that Allah is going to place tests in your life to establish the hujjah for or against you Yawm al-Qiyamah, does it make sense for a person to say, whenever they're afflicted with a musibah, with a trial, with a tribulation, to say, why me? Does that question make sense? What do you guys think? If you know you were created to worship Allah, and there's going to be tests in your life, then the question that we have, why me, is that valid? No. This is part of the purpose of why we were created, to be tested. To be tested. Ala wa sil'atullahi ghaliya. It's not the treasures, the commodity of Allah Azza wa Jalla expensive. There has to be tests. Ashaddu nas bala'an al-anbiya, thumma al-amthal fal-amthal. Right? The people who were tested the most were the anbiya. And they were closest to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Yet they were still tested. And they were tested the most. And then those who are close to them in their connection with Allah, they're tested the most after that. And it goes on like that. So if a person is being tested in their life, wallahi, they shouldn't feel sad. They should be what? Happy. They should be elated and excited that Allah Azza wa Jalla knows they can handle this issue, handle this fitna, handle this musibah. Khairan? And this is the mindset that we should have. This is the mindset we should have. Yani being mutafa'il, optimistic. Ajaban li amri al-mu'min. Amazing is the affair of the believer. Inna amrahu kullahu khair. Certainly all of his affairs is good. وَلَيْسَ ذَاكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, and that is not for anyone except for the mu'min, the believer, the one who has iman. In asabathu, if some blessing occurred to them, sarra'u shakar, they are grateful, they are thankful to Allah Azza wa Jalla. فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. When asabathu darra, and if some type of darra, some type of harm, some type of difficulty were to befall them, sabara fakana khayran lahu. Then they are patient, and that is better for them. Allahu Akbar. But what? This is only for the mu'min. This is only for the mu'min. The aqil, the intellectual person, who knows the purpose why they're created, and that they're going to be tested in their life. So why did Allah place zina on the earth? لِنَبَلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. To test us. Khayran? To test us. And this dunya is filled with tests. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Inna dunya hulwatun khadiratun, wa inna Allah mustakhlifukum fiha, fayanzuru kayfa ta'malun, fattaqu dunya wattaqu nisa." Now, it's mentioned in hadith that the life of this world is hulwatun, sweet, khadiratun. What does khadira mean? I need to translate it to mean green, right? But as mentioned by Mullah Ali Qari, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that this word means something that is beautified and comfortable to your eyes and hearts. Something that brings comfort to your eyes and hearts. He said that the Arabs, they call anything that is na'ima, something that is comfortable or cozy or brings enjoyment, they describe it as khadir, due to its resemblance to khadrawat. You guys know what khadrawat is? Vegetables. Yani, when you go grocery shopping and you come home with your vegetables, does the vegetable stay in your house long? It gets consumed quickly, right? Within a few days. Khalas? Likewise, the dunya, subhanAllah, blessings that we're given, subhanAllah, most of the time, if there's no barakah, especially in it, blessing in the dunya, it vanishes quickly. And the dunya itself, it vanishes quickly. This is why he said, "Inna dunya hulwatun khadiratun." It's something that vanishes quickly. It's enjoyable, naam, but it's going to tazul, it's going to disappear quickly, especially when you compare it to the hereafter. Naam. So Allah says what? لِنَبَلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ أَمَلًا. Yani in order for us to test them to see which of them are the best indeed. How else are we being tested? We're being tested in this dunya from multiple aspects, many ways. Okay? Some people, they ask, why are the Muslims in a weak position of power and strength on earth? Right? We take a look what's going on, in our times. Allah Mustaan, the Muslims, they're weak. But we look in the past, in the history, we found that the Muslims were in power. Okay? And then there came periods of weakness, and then they became in power again. Yani this in and of itself, yani these periods of power and weakness for the Muslim Ummah, that is a test of Allah Azza wa Jalla as well. And it's actually from the Sunnah of Allah. You look at history, right? Islam started something weak, then it gained power, then it became weak again, and it became powerful, and then it became weak again. Well, how can that? Throughout history is like that, up and down. وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. That we alternate these days of victory and defeat among the people. There's going to be days when the Muslims are high, and then there's going to be times throughout history where they are the defeated nations. Naam. And even in this, yani whether the Muslim is the powerful nation or not, there's a test. Yani how will we behave when we are a weak nation and the less dominant side, when we're on the less dominant side? That's a test from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Yani will we practice our deen sincerely for His sake alone in those times? Or do we only practice Islam in the good times? But when it comes to times of hardship and difficulty, khalas, we don't really practice Islam. And that's a test. That's a real test. Yani practicing Islam in the States, for example, where the majority of people are non-Muslims. Especially, outside of like New York City or Pennsylvania or, Texas, where the Muslim population is very small. Yani that's a test from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Khairan. Why does He do this alternation of days of victory and defeat? وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. In order to reveal who are the true believers. Okay, what will you do in times of ease? And yani, what will you do in times of hardship? Khairan. Naam, this dunya is filled with tests. Whether you're a rich person or a poor person, you're going to be tested by Allah. I'll give you two examples. One being Prophet Sulaiman, alayhi salam, who was someone who was granted the mulk, who was granted a dominion, a huge dominion, and had wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested him. And then you have Prophet Ayub, alayhi salam, who lost everything, and Allah tested him. But what was the common denominator? Despite their status in the dunya, what was the common denominator between them? They worshipped Allah, and they used what they were given as a means of drawing closer to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Khairan, Allah says about Sulaiman what? وَوَهَبْنَا لِدَاوُودَ Sulaiman. نِعْمَ الْعَبْدُ إِنَّهُ أَوَّابٌ. He describes him as an excellent servant. And certainly he was someone who would constantly turn to Allah. And then Prophet Ayub, right, who had lost everything, Allahumma musta'an, la ilaha illallah. Yani you read the story of Prophet Ayub, yani you cry. You cry as, yani subhanAllah, just think about the amount of harm he went through, the amount of sadness. And, he became sick. And he lost his wealth and his family. Yet he still persevered and obeyed Allah throughout those tests. And what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about him? Inna wajadnahu sabira. That we certainly found him to be sabiran. Someone who was patient. Ni'mal abd. And he described him as being an excellent servant as well. Innahu awwab. Subhanallah. What perfect examples for us. Yani, despite our status in the dunya, despite our situations, no matter we're rich or poor, we can make the most of what we are given and pass this test that Allah has placed for us. Now, we can benefit from what Allah has given us, no matter what we go through. And it's a test whether we will whether we will uphold our Islamic values and teachings or not. Yani whether we will uphold our Islamic values and teachings or not. Naam. إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. or in order to test them to see which of them are best in deeds. Khayr, what is meant by ahsanu amala? Did Allah say here aktharu amala, those who are the most in deeds? La. He said what? Ahsanu amala, the best in deed. What does that mean? Best in deeds? That which is akhlasu wa aswab. It's mentioned by Al-Fudayl bin Iyad, rahimahullah ta'ala. He mentioned that which is most sincere and most correct. How can a deed be most correct? Yani, if it follows the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In this verse, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. We see that Allah redirects our attention to what is most important, and that is preparing for the hereafter. By using a tangible example, something we're familiar with, yani dunya. Okay? And this is a da'wah point. Right? Allah is telling us here what? That the dunya will fade, it will go away. And while you're in it, make the most of it. Utilize it to pass the exam, to pass the test. And that is by doing actions that are best. Right? So Allah is reminding us here that the dunya is going to go away. It's not something which you should engage in and be deceived by. Now, in this is a da'wah point. Yani when we speak to people in Islam, we talk to them in a way and we relate. We speak to them in a way that relates to them and that connects with them. And we speak to them, you don't talk about issues that are above their level, above their head, when you're calling them to the truth. Rather, anzilu nas manazilahum, yani meet the people where they are. Khayran. And this is one of the reasons why when Prophet Muhammad sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal towards Yemen, he informed them of the type of people he's going to speak to so that he can prepare and strategize how to call them to Islam, the most appropriate way of calling them to Islam. Now, you meet the people where they are. Khayran. So Allah has given us a tangible example of dunya. We're all familiar with dunya. Khayr. And he's telling us here it's a beautification, but it's going to pass in the next verse. وَإِنَّا لَجَاعِلُونَ مَا عَلَيْهَا صَعِيدًا جُرُزًا. In the next verse, it tells us what? That the dunya will go away. What does the translator write here? The translator wrote, and verily we shall make all that is on the earth a bare, dry soil without any vegetation nor trees. خير إنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا. طيب. We have a couple of things on this verse. First thing, وَإِنَّا لَجَاعِلُونَ. This is emphasis. Now there's emphasis in this statement. مَا عَلَيْهَا. All that, ma here is for umum, general. Everything that's on it, on the earth, without exception, is going to be صَعِيدًا جُرُزًا. A bare, dry soil. Sa'idan, yani that which is on the face of the earth, soil or dirt. Juruzan, that which does not produce anything, that which is barren. Ibn Abbas said about this, يَهْلِكُ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ عَلَيْهَا وَيَبِيدُ. Naam. He says that everything that's on the earth will be destroyed and it will be perished. Naam. Allah is telling us the reality of this dunya, that the beauties that are found on the earth will perish and be nothing. In this verse is encouragement to not be too attached to this world. Rather be kun ghariban, be a stranger, be someone who is on the pathway, abir as-sabil. Right? If you're traveling somewhere, okay, let's say for example you're traveling from California to New York, or maybe let's say America to India. Right? On your way to India, make a stop at UK. You have a 2-hour delay. Are you going to treat those 2 hours as if you're going to stay there forever? La. You're not going to, you have a destination. You're going to have to get back up, go on the plane and get ready to go back to your original destination. Right? So that's how we should be in the dunya. Yani, this dunya is not our final abode. Our final abode is paradise, inshallah ta'ala. And this is what we ask Allah. We ask Allah to grant us Jannah. Ameen. And that's our final abode. So we shouldn't treat this dunya as if it's our internal home. La, we treat it rather as a pit stop. We treat it as a pit stop. Khair. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمْ حَسِبْتَ أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْكَهْفِ وَالرَّقِيمِ كَانُوا مِنْ آيَاتِنَا عَجَبًا. Now, do you think that the people of the cave and the inscription, the news or names of the people of the cave, were a wonder among our signs? What is the connection between this verse and the previous verse? This is an important point. Now, what's the correlation between the content of this verse and the previous verse? Ponder. We're commanded to reflect over the Quran. Why does Allah switch topics? Is there a connection between that transition? Naam, ayyuhal muslimun. Know for sure when you read the Quran, you don't just read it. You don't just read it and read it, and that's it, khalas. La, you have to reflect. لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the book, blessed book down, in order for the people to what? Reflect over its verses. So what is the connection between this verse, أَمْ حَسِبْتَ أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْكَهْفِ وَالرَّقِيمِ كَانُوا مِنْ آيَاتِنَا عَجَبًا, and the previous verse? Some people say to show one of the ayats of Allah, pondering over one of his miracles. The young men were tested, people of the cave left behind their dunya, sent to see different examples to apply it correctly. Apply what? Anyone else? Reflect, think. Think is good to take your time and think. Yani, take your time, just reflect. Sit down with the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Excellent. Those are the best times you can spend. And the best times you can spend in dunya are those times where you reflect over Kitabullah. Naam. What Allah has made on the earth are ayats too. They are signs too. MashaAllah. Show how the men of Kahf passed the test, seclusion, and the youths were ayats too. The fitna of the deen and how they sought refuge in Allah. Pure demonstration of what is taught about dunya, and people who left this adornment knows the reality of dunya during fitna, fleeing away. Tayyib, mashallah, very good muhawalat. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions in Tafsir that Allah Azza Jalla is mentioning to his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you think, O Muhammad, أم حسبت يا محمد أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا? Do you think that the companions of the cave and the inscription, and we're going to mention what al-Raqim, what does that mean, were from our amazing signs? فإن ما خلقت من السماوات والأرض وما فيهن من العجائب أعجب من أمر أصحاب الكهف. He mentions that for certainly that which I have created in relation to the heavens and earth and everything in them are also among Allah's astonishing signs, which are greater, which are what? أعجب من أمر أصحاب الكهف, which are greater in wonderment and amazement than the story of the companion of the cave. Yani, here you see Allah speaking about the companions of the cave, right? And before he's speaking about the creation of the earth. طيب? Both of them are amazing signs, right? Which one is greater? The creation of the heavens and earth, without a doubt. And how the earth will be destroyed. That's a greater sign of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Why is he mentioning this? Yani, the answer returns back to the reason why this chapter was revealed. I don't believe we discussed it, but yani, when you go back to the Sabab Nuzul of this chapter, a group from Ahlul Kitab approached Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to test him, okay? To test him to see whether he was truly the messenger of Allah. So they asked him questions that were only found in their book. And knowing that he was among the Arabs and he was someone who was unlettered. He didn't know how to read, right? He didn't have access to what these scholars were learning in their books. Many of the people didn't even have access themselves. And among the laymen, they didn't have access to that information themselves, right? Some of the information in their books were only accessible by those who were learned. Khayran. So they wanted to test Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to see whether he was really receiving revelation or not. So they asked him a few questions. And of course, we know that Allah did not reveal it instantly. Rather, it took some time. And in that is wisdom, hikmah as well. But eventually, when the Prophet ﷺ received that information, he conveyed it to Ahlul Kitab. And that story is amazing. And Ahlul Kitab is an amazing story to them, right? How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was able to protect them and cause them to sleep for a number of years without any harms to their body, protecting them for so many years. Khayran. So, if they believe that the story of these young men was amazing, and it definitely was, there's something that's even greater and more amazing than that. And that is the creation of the heavens and earth. And that is the concept of Yawm al-Qiyamah, the earth being destroyed and the establishment of the hour. And that is more astonishing. A person should reflect over that even more than the story of Ashab al-Kahf. Khayran. And that should lead them to fulfill their purpose on earth. And that is not to commit shirk, not to claim that Isa was the son of Allah, right? Not to claim that Uzair was the son of Allah, not to make up lies and attribute those lies to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Khayran. What did Imam Sa'di say? Rahimahullah ta'ala. He said in his tafsir, وَلَيْسَ الْمُرَادُ بهذا النفي أن تكون قصة أصحاب الكهف من الأجائب بل هي من آيات الله العجيبة وإنما المراد أن جنسها كثير جدا فالوقوف معها وحدها في مقام العجب والاستغراب نقص في العلم والعقل بل وظيفة المؤمن التفكر بجميع آيات الله التي دعا الله العباد إلى التفكير فيها. He said what could be translated to mean that the negation here, and this goes back to what is the meaning of among the meanings is negation. Naam. And we're going to discuss the other meanings as well. Does not mean that their story was not among the wondrous signs of Allah. Okay? For certainly it was indeed among his astonishing signs. However, what is meant by this statement, أَمْ حَسِبْتَ أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْكَهْفِ وَالرَّقِيمِ كَانُوا مِنْ آيَاتِنَا عَجَبًا. Right here you can see there's a question being asked here with the intent of ta'ajjub, yani amazement. Do you think that this was an amazing story? Imam Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala says that what is meant by this is that there are many other wonders of Allah Azza wa Jalla as well. So to limit our astonishment and our amazement only to this story while not reflecting over the other signs of Allah which are greater, like the creation of heavens and earth, that is a sign of deficiency, naqs, in one's knowledge and reason. Okay, so it's like a wake-up call for Ahlul Kitab. All right? Rather, the job of the believer, he mentions here, that the wazifa, subhanAllah, the thing in which the mu'min has to do on a constant basis is at-tafakkur bi jami'i ayatillah, allati da'a Allahu al-ibada ila tafkiri fiha. Is that the believer is to reflect and ponder over all of Allah's signs, which he has invited his servants to reflect over. And not just reflect and not just restrict themselves to only a few blessings, like Ashab al-Kahf, or a few amazing actions like that. Okay, signs of Allah. Clearly, he mentions, certainly that this is the key to Iman, Allahu Akbar. He said that reflecting over all of Allah's signs and not restricting it to a few, فَإِنَّهَا مِفْتَاحُ الْإِيمَانِ. Certainly that is the key to Iman, وَطَرِيقُ الْعِلْمِ وَالْإِيقَانِ, and the path of knowledge and certainty. SubhanAllah. Imam Shinqiti rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that the story of Ashab al-Kahf, even if the people regard it as a remarkable story and are amazed by it, it's not something wondrous when it's compared to the capability of Allah Azza wa Jalla and Allah's magnificent ability to create the heavens and earth. Okay? For certainly, فَإِنَّ خَلْقَنَا لِلسَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, for certainly Allah's ability of creating the heavens and earth and placing zina, adornments on the earth, and then making it barren, أَعْظَمُ وَأَعْجَبُ مِمَّا فَعَلْنَا بِأَصْحَابِ الْكَهْفِ, is more wondrous, is more greater in amazement than what we have done with the people of the cave, and how we caused them to go to sleep for a long period of time and then resurrected them. So subhanAllah, in reality, this returns back to Tawheed. And this is one of the maqasid, one of the intents of this chapter, is to establish Tawheed. Every verse refers back to Tawheed. The oneness of Allah and different categories and types of that. It's reminding the people, redirecting, guiding the people to reflect over the purpose why they created and to prepare for the moment when they meet Allah Azza wa Jalla. Khairan. So, this is the connection between those two verses. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have some more benefits here. The connection between, we say, here is لإضراب انتقالي. I'm not going to explain this again. This is something we explained in our previous classes and our other Tafsir courses. We invite you all to enroll in it, inshallah ta'ala, and benefit from the different types of some say it's لإضراب انتقال, to move from one topic to the next. خيرا. So he goes from وَإِنَّا لَجَاعِلُونَ مَا عَلَيْهَا صَعِيدًا جُرُزًا. This is one topic, and it moves on to another topic. And of course, we just discussed the connection between both topics. This story of Ashab al-Kahf is the main purpose for the revelation of the surah. So the previous ayat is like an introduction. It's an introduction to the story, things which you have to believe, things that you should properly believe. Now we're going to tell this story. Here Allah Azza wa Jalla says, أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْكَهْفِ. What is the meaning of Kahf? Did we write it here? Okay, Kahf means cave, right? They wrote cave here. What's another word for cave in the Arabic language? Ghar. Like the Ghar al-Hira, the Ghar al-Thawr, right? What's the difference between those two types of words? What is a Kahf? What's the difference between a Kahf and a Ghar? Kahf, a Ghar. طيب. Has anyone been to Jabal Nur? If you climb the mountain, which is about a 45-minute climb, and you go to the cave, you notice that the cave is very small in terms of the amount of space within the cave itself. Likewise, Jabal Thawr. It's a very small space, which is one of the reasons why Quraysh were unable to see Abu Bakr and the Prophet ﷺ إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ. Okay, when they were in the Ghar. Al-Kahf is more spacious, is wide, it's bigger. Allah says, أَمْ حَسِبْتَ أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْكَهْفِ, that the companions of the big cave, large cave, خير, وَالرَّقِيمِ. وَالرَّقِيمِ. What is the meaning of raqim? Here the word, if you take a look at the linguistical breakdown, it's on the scale of fa'il, which means maf'ul here. So raqim here means marqum. Allah says kitabun marqum, something that is inscribed, a tablet. It's said, as mentioned by Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, that on it is written the names of the young men and their story which was at the cave's entrance. This is the al-raqim. Al-raqim. Then it was preserved, right? Some other people, they say that it was preserved in the king of that land's storage, and other people say, or in the homes of some locals. Some say it's in reference to the mountain's name or the name of the valley or town which the cave was located. Khair. How do you know which is the more correct opinion? Take a look at the asl of the word, ishtiqaq. This is where ilm ishtiqaq comes in. You take a look at the origin of the word. What does the word mean? when you look at the root letters. You find that there's Ra, Qaf, and Mim. Sah? And the asl of the word, yani any word that comes from this derivative will take the meaning of al-kitaba wa khat, yani of writing. You could say raqamtu al-kitab. You say in Arabic raqamtu al-kitab. What is the meaning of that in Arabic? Yani when you've written a book, I wrote a book. Khair? So this shows that raqim means something that was written on, yani inscribed tablet, a tablet, like a tablet, something that which writing had occurred on. So this is the more correct opinion in regards to the meaning of raqim, and this is known as a gharib, yani word that is strange, it's unknown. You have to look for the meaning. Look at the books of Tafsir to find its meaning. Take a look at this verse. Says kanu min ayatina, yani these ashab al-kahf. The min here is tab'id, okay, meaning they were some of our signs. So even in this verse is the ishara to the last verse. It's it's pointing to you, it's showing you that this is not the most amazing sign of Allah. There are greater signs that you should reflect over, which is the earth and its creation and its eventual vanishment. Min ayatina, this is why you find the translation they put among, yani from some of our signs, yani among our signs. Naam. Ajaba emphasis from ajib. Ajib is the word, but ajaba is yani more emphasis. إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. طيب. Remember when the young men fled for refuge from their disbelieving folk to the cave, they said, "Oh our Lord," or they said, "Our Lord, bestow on us mercy from yourself and facilitate for us our affair in the right way." Khayran. Now we see that Allah Azza wa Jalla, He begins to mention details regarding this story. Fitya is the plural for fata, yani someone who's young, a young man, a young child, a young man. This shows that Allah can give knowledge to even those who are young, and we have examples of that in Ibn Abbas and Ibn Malik radiallahu anhum. We also see from this verse that being quote-unquote religious, right, these young men, they fear the fitna, the shirk and kufr that was going on with their people. So they fled. They didn't want to partake in that. They didn't want to engage in that. They wanted to maintain the fitrah that they were upon in terms of worshipping Allah alone. They knew the severity of committing shirk with Allah Azza wa Jalla. So they wanted to flee that. They wanted to run. So this shows being religious is not only for the one who's old in age, unlike what some people think today, right? Some people, they think that I'm just going to live my life, and when I get older, I'm going to do hajj and khalas. I'm going to start being pious, being righteous. And that is incorrect. And in reality, those thoughts are advices from shaitan, because no one's guaranteed tomorrow. No one is guaranteed tomorrow. Look at the intellect of these young men. These young men, when they saw the fitna of shirk and kufr, subhanAllah, they ran towards the cave and sought assistance in Allah. They begged Allah for His mercy and to make and facilitate their affairs. Today, Allahumma musta'an, what would our youth do? Our youth today, Allahumma musta'an, they are engaged with video games. Day and night, you find that grown adults spend their time in video games, and just the mindset is different, right? And surahatan, we have to take some type of accountability for this. It's not the kid's fault 100%. It goes back to the parents. We allow this to occur. We allow them to be exposed to these type of things. And it doesn't build character. Being engaged in video games and whatnot, it doesn't really build character. It doesn't teach you life lessons. It doesn't teach you things in which you need to do to progress as a human being, as an adult. So us as parents, we have to be conscious of this. All right, whatever is done, khalas. We can't change the past, but we can, change how we move forward in cultivating our kids, teaching our kids, right, and not being lazy or being tired and saying that, oh, you don't have time. SubhanAllah, you don't have time for your own kids, to teach your own kids, to teach them Islamic values and teach them the Quran, and to teach them to worship Allah alone and to develop their reliance in Allah and, different things about the deen. We don't have time for that. Allahul Musta'an. Yeah, we have to change this thinking. We have to hold ourselves accountable and be examples for our family members, especially our kids, because they're the future. And it's something very important. Inshallah ta'ala, may Allah Azza wa Jalla make or grant us success in guiding, being good role models for our kids, and may Allah guide them to the straight path and make them qurratu a'yunina, yani a coolness for our eyes. I mean, in this verse we also see that Allah says what? Al-fitya. Scholars derive from this that the young usually are more inclined to the truth as they're not set in their ways. Now, if I recall correctly, I believe I wrote an article on this a few years ago. This is one of my websites I made a few years ago. No, this is it right here. This is an article I made based off a tafsir of Imam Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala in regards to a verse in Surah Yunus, where he mentions, he says, and the wisdom, and Allah knows best as to why only the people who believed in Musa were the offsprings from his nation is because the offsprings in youth are more accepting of the truth and quicker to submit to the truth as opposed to elders and those who are similar to them, who have been nurtured or cultivated upon this belief. For this reason, due to what remains in their hearts from corrupted beliefs, the elders are furthest away from accepting the truth than others. Look at the companions and how there were many who converted in their youth. And look at Abu Talib, who, although he knew Islam was the truth and he affirmed it, right? He wrote lines of poetry to say that. He did it, and he went as far to protect the Prophet ﷺ because he knew what he was doing was the right thing. He didn't accept Islam. Why? Because of he was set in his ways, and he was fearful of what other people would think of him, even on his deathbed. SubhanAllah bihamdi. Now, so the youth, generally speaking, are more, they're more open-minded, okay? And that is a reminder for us, SubhanAllah, that as we get older, we should never, we should always be open to the truth, even if it goes against what we have been taught, even if it goes against what we're used to. We should always be inclined to follow the truth no matter where it comes from. And don't feel ashamed of following someone who is younger than you. If they have the truth, khalas, we take it. طيب? No matter who it comes from. طيب, here we see al-idhar in place of al-idmar. Yani, he mentioned in the previous verse, Ashab al-Kahf. Khair. He didn't have to mention al-fitya. He could just use the damir in the verb. But he mentioned al-fitya, clearly mentions it, so as to single them out and show the virtue of what they did. SubhanAllah. They were young boys, and look how they thought, look how they lived, look how they reacted to the fitna they faced. Okay? What else we got here? Whenever we face any trial, we seek Allah's assistance first. Look how they say Rabbana. They sought assistance in Allah's lordship. Naam. Allah's lordship. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. Why did they single out this name? Because the word Rabb, if you know, we explained this many times before in other classes. The word Rabb, there's another word called Tarbiyah, cultivation. Right? So Rabb is the one yurabbin nas, is the one who cultivates the people, takes care of them, provides for them. Not only that Allah created us, but He also gave us sustenance, and He gave us guidance, and He gave us these other affairs. So for that reason, they sought assistance in Allah Azza wa Jalla. They sought His mercy, protection, guidance, and direction. Min ladunka rahma, from Arabic benefit. Min, here's ibtida. Rahma begins from Allah. And then He said, ladunka. Okay? Meaning what? Ladun is for indiya, with you. He could have said, minka, right? Minka rahma. Minka rahma. Sah? But he said min ladunka. There's emphasis in that statement. Yani he's saying that rahma begins with you. We know that. Allah is the possessor of all rahma. Mentioned in hadith, جعل الله عز وجل الرحمة 100 جزء. That Allah made rahma as 100 parts, 100 portions. فأمسك عنده 99. And he kept 99 parts with him. وأنزل في الأرض جزءا واحدا. And he sent to the earth only one part. فمن ذلك الجزء يتراحم الخلق. It's mentioned in hadith that, and that one part is the rahmah that the people use, the creation uses to be merciful to one another. So rahmah comes from Allah Azza wa Jalla. It begins with him and it ends with him. Then he says ladunka. Yani in the Arabic there's even more emphasis, meaning not yani rahmah from not anyone else. We only want it from you alone. Right? And this is something that you can't really taste in the English language. Yani it's something that you really benefit when you're reading Arabic and understand Arabic, subhanAllah. Also in this verse we see the beauty of something called taqdeem wa ta'khir. You take a look at the verse. It says رَبَّنَا آتِنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً وَهَيِّئْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا. هيّأ meaning سهل, to facilitate, to make easy for us our affair in the right way. طيب. Yani the asl outside the Quran, not the Quran, outside the Quran, if we were to write this sentence as part of the verse, in a regular sentence, we would say hayy rashadan lana min amrina. Yani rashada would be after the verb. Okay? Rashada will be after the verb. Khair. But in the verse, we see that lana min amrina is brought forth. It precedes the maf'ul sarih. The maf'ul sarih. So this shows what? That there's emphasis. That there's emphasis in this statement. Yani, they're sincerely seeking guidance in their affair. All right. Another reason for this taqdeem, if you students who took our Balāgha course, we had a whole class on taqdeem and ta'khir. And among the reasons of a taqdeem and ta'khir is shawq al-sami'. Yani, when the listener is listening to this verse, right? وَهَيِّئ. After the verb, you will hear the maf'ul, sarih. You would hear rashadan, tayyib. That would be the normal, in normal speech. That's what you would hear. But because it's delayed, you as a listener wants to know. You want to know, what are they, yani hayyi? Why are they making hayyi? For what? What affair are they looking for? Khayran? So this is the benefit you get from the ta'khir here. Yani you as a listener are paying more attention to, okay, what is the thing in which the maf'ul bihi for hayyi? That's more of like an Arabic benefit. The beauty of the style of the Quran. Khayran? When you listen to the Arabic, that's the beauty you get from it. Yani you're listening, you're more attentive as to what's being said. The same thing over here. Atina min ladunka rahma. Rahma outside the Quran will be placed right here. Atina rahmatan min ladunk. Okay, but it's delayed. Once again, atina min ladunk. Okay, give us from you what? If you said rahma over here, khalas. Atina rahmatan, khalas, you heard the kalam. But because it's delayed, you're listening now. Okay, what is being asked for? What are they asking for? There's that shawqa, yani. I don't know if you guys are with me. طيب. Yani it's stimulating the listener's desire to hear what is being said. طيب. And then finally we see, and wallahi, there's so many benefits, but look at the time, Allahumma musta'an. The last thing we'll mention is the combination between dua and action. Is that not only did they flee towards the cave, but they also made dua. And that's something, that's a qa'idah. That's a principle you have to establish in your life. is that if you want to accomplish anything, you cannot just only make dua but not take the means. And you cannot only just do without making dua. You have to combine between the two. Is that you act and you also seek Allah's assistance. Ihris ala ma yanfa'uk. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, be diligent in what will benefit you. Wasta'in billah. He says right after it, wasta'in billah. And at the same time, as you're being diligent, seek Allah's assistance. Wala ta'jiz. And do not give up. Like, so us as Muslims, if you want beneficial knowledge, you make dua in the morning. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an wa rizqan tayyiban wa amalan mutaqabbalan. Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr, he mentions that you don't just make that dua and not seek knowledge, right? When you make the dua for beneficial knowledge, you spend time in seeking knowledge. You attend classes, you spend time with the Quran, you spend time with the ahadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you spend time in learning Arabic. You have to put in the effort along with the dua. When you ask Allah to grant you accepted actions, you have to do actions, and you have to strive in making sure the actions are sincere for Allah alone. When you ask Allah for good wealth, purified wealth, rizqan tayyiban, that risk, that the provision that is tayyib, pure and accepted by Allah Azza wa Jalla, you have to actually go out and seek His rizq and just hope that rizq will come down from the tree or come down from the sky, or ma'idah coming down from the sky. La, Allah ustad. Some people are like that. La ilaha illallah. But you have to combine between both dua and action. Khayran. And لعلنا نكتفي بهذا القدر إن شاء الله تعالى. Like I said, Allah musta'an, there's much more benefits that can be derived from these 10 verses. But I hope that what we presented was beneficial and it drew you all closer to this chapter and to the Quran in general. And I hope that we can all continue bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Quran classes, Tafsir classes are the most beneficial class. And me personally, I love to teach these type of classes because the amount of rahmah and sakina and you know, the tranquility you feel when you spend time with the book of Allah. يتدارسون القرآن. When we study together the Quran, that's when the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jalla descends. And the malaika surround them. And Allah sends down tranquility. And Allah mentions them, those who are in that gathering, to those who are with Him, the malaika, the angels. So I hope everyone will continue with us, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. We hope to keep free, inshallah ta'ala, for those who are unable to pay. Even our previous classes, our other tafsir courses that we already done, we want you guys to enroll in those classes. If you don't have, let's say, for example, you go through some difficult situation, contact me and I'll enroll you in the class for free. That's something, I have no problem doing for our brothers and sisters who don't have the ability to pay. But even in the future classes, inshallah, we hope that you guys will join us. We do plan on having a course on the last 10 of Surah al-Kahf. Although we've mentioned the first class, the last 10 of Surah al-Kahf is not authentically related that it protects against Dajjal. However, because it's something in which many people probably already memorized, I believe it will be of benefit to study it as well, because there's good meanings in it, and at the end of the day, it's the Quran as well. طيب. So, inshallah ta'ala, hopefully everybody can register for that course. We'll post about it soon, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and yeah. Any thoughts or suggestions or questions? The meaning of Raqim, does it refer to the story of men written? It refers to the tablet where it said that the names of the young men were written on and their story. Ajaba, wonder. Emphasize, meaning of wonderment, amazement. طيب, we also hope everybody will, encourage your friends, share these classes, encourage your friends to join us, because that, alhamdulillah, we're miskin out here in terms of good deeds. So we have to try our best in accumulating as much deeds as possible. And among the best means of accumulating a lot of deeds and obtaining heavy skills in their judgment is by sharing knowledge. All right? Sharing knowledge and encouraging people to attend lessons, because that information will benefit them and they'll be able to carry on that information to their contacts as well. So invite your friends to our classes. I'm going to make this course public, inshallah, so you can invite them. بإذن ta'ala. خيرا. With that, هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Anything which I said that is correct, then it's only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we thank Him for it. Anything that was incorrect, then it's only from my ignorance and from the whispers of shaitan, and Allah is free from it. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.